Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday morning, February 3rd, a rainy day in the Mid-Atlantic region. Looks like rain will continue off and on right through the overnight hours in the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor, making for quite a muddy mess out there with temperatures above freezing. Much of the snow of recent days has melted in the overnight hours and will continue to melt today. And some of that rain can be heavy at times. Now, we've been talking about a slow-moving Arctic front that will move across the Mid-Atlantic region late tonight, early tomorrow morning from the northwest to the southeast, and that will allow for a transition of the plain rain that can be falling tomorrow morning to freezing rain by later in the morning or midday hours, and perhaps even a changeover to sleet and a brief time period of snow late in the day tomorrow into the early part of tomorrow night. Then the most susceptible areas for some icing on Friday will be those suburbs to the north and west of the big cities. Perhaps in the D.C. metro region, it'll be the far northern and western suburbs, but probably in close to the Philly area, you'll have some icing in the nearby northern and western suburbs, and much of the New York City metro region will experience some icing during the day on Friday. We'll have temperatures plunging tomorrow night, so any standing water that still may remain at that time on roadways will certainly have a chance to quickly freeze up early tomorrow night as temperatures really begin to plunge, making their way all the way down into the teens in many of the suburbs to the north and west of the big cities by early Saturday morning. I thought we'd just start off here with kind of a graphical portrayal of the range of precipitation types, because we will be transitioning in many suburban areas to freezing rain on Friday and ultimately maybe to a brief period of sleet and or snow. This is a graph. In this particular case, we could think of this as the northwest side over here where the snow is falling, and the southeast side over here. Basically, we often talk about the denseness of a cold Arctic air mass, and indeed it is very dense air. It can undercut warmer air as it pushes in from the northwest to the southeast. So right in the very beginning stages, the front edge of that Arctic air intrusion right behind the cold frontal system itself, you can have this undercutting of the Arctic air that will lift up the warmer air ahead of it, and you can have liquid rain still falling from the clouds and landing as liquid on the surface. But if temperatures drop to below freezing or near freezing, you absolutely can have some icing, freezing rain in this particular case, and that is what I expect to see tomorrow morning midday in many of the suburbs to the north and west of the big cities as temperatures drop from late tonight through the early morning hours towards that freezing mark. You can have some of this freezing on contact in those on those untreated surfaces such as trees and grass areas. If the roads are salted, they should hold up pretty well. However, the problem is a lot of the rain today will wash away that salt, and there will be many surfaces that will not be treated by the time we get to tomorrow morning. So this is the freezing rain scenario. Then as that Arctic air mass pushes even farther to the south and east, you can get into a period of sleet where the liquid drops actually fall from the clouds but then freeze into ice pellets on their way down to the surface. And finally, when you're fully into the Arctic air mass, it can be all snow from top to bottom here, from the top of the atmosphere all the way down to the bottom by the top of the atmosphere. I mean, at the cloud layer itself. So this is kind of a graphical representation. Again, the Arctic air will be pushing in tomorrow from the northwest to the southeast. So the transition will be from plain rain to freezing rain, and then perhaps sleet and even a brief period of snow. I don't expect much snow in the immediate I-95 corridor region out of this system, but certainly there can be an ice buildup in some of the northern and western suburbs with freezing on contact untreated surfaces. Well, let's first focus in on the rain in the Mid-Atlantic region. There's plenty of it today and tonight, and some of it can be heavy at times. This is the latest radar loop using the weather website from College of DuPage, and you can see some higher reflectivities here showing up in yellow. Those are areas of heavier rainfall. And indeed, there can be some moderate to heavy rainfall during the day and into the overnight hours. Of course, this is making for a muddy mess. The temperatures above freezing in many areas for the first time in several days, and a lot of snow melt. It's quite a mess out there, and the rain will continue right into the overnight hours. Now, on a national basis, we're looking at a radar map from a radar loop from WSI's and telecast.com. Rain right here in the Mid-Atlantic region, the northeastern part of the nation. But you go back into that Arctic air mass. First, you have a swath of ice showing up here in pinks. That represents either freezing rain or sleet. Again, as we saw with that graphic, initially you may have a changeover from plain rain to freezing rain. Then you get a little farther back into that Arctic air mass, it becomes sleet, and even farther back, snow. And there's plenty of it. The Midwest was hit by a big snowstorm yesterday and continues parts of the Midwest and the Ohio Valley today, and snowing already in northwestern Pennsylvania, western part of New York. All of this sliding to the north and east along that very slow-moving Arctic frontal system. Well, let's take a walk through last night's 06 run of the NAM model. I think the NAM has a pretty good handle on the situation that's developing for the Mid-Atlantic region. We'll go through on an hourly basis, beginning with right now, early Thursday morning. Rain again in the Mid-Atlantic region, a swath of ice, and then accumulating snow to the north and west of there. And low pressure will form will intensify right along that frontal boundary zone later this morning and move to the north and east, and that will enhance the rainfall nearby and certainly enhance the ice and snow to the northwest in the cold sector. This pushes up to the north and east. Again, there can be some moderate to heavy rain at times in the I-95 corridor region and points to the north and west of there today and tonight. And then that low pressure area kind of pushes off to the north and east. Here we are now by early tomorrow morning. This is 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Temperatures beginning to fall in the northern and western suburbs of the big cities. Certainly first to fall in places like Gaithersburg and Leesburg to the north and west of D.C. and Pottstown and the southeastern part of Pennsylvania, as that surface front inches its way across the region by early tomorrow, and then temperatures slowly drop through the morning and really through the day tomorrow on in the I-95 corridor region. And that will allow for a transition, certainly in some of the northern and western suburbs, by the time we get into the midday hours, to the north and west of Philadelphia, to the north and west, perhaps the far northern and western suburbs of D.C. and in and around the New York City metro region. That freezing rain could then change briefly to a period of sleet and even snow by early tomorrow night. And temperatures, while they may only slowly drop throughout the day, they will kind of take on a steeper drop early tomorrow night. So any leftover standing water on untreated surfaces can certainly freeze up quickly early tomorrow night. So something to be aware of. Does not look like a major ice storm in the immediate I-95 corridor region. There certainly can be some icing in some of the suburbs, especially the far northern western suburbs, during the day on Friday into Friday night. And again, watch out for a quick freeze up tomorrow night. Temperatures fall way down into the teens in many of those suburban areas to the north and west of the big cities later on tomorrow night. By the time we get to Friday morning, here we are, the Friday morning forecast map. Still a stiff breeze from the north or northwest in the Mid-Atlantic region. A cold start today to the day, and it stays cold right through the day on Saturday, despite the return of some sunshine. So a lot of rainfall today in the Mid-Atlantic region with milder conditions than we've been accustomed to over the last several days. That rain will continue as plain rain through most of the night. By tomorrow morning, there'll be an influx of Arctic air that will only seep into the region from the northwest or the southeast. That will begin a transition of the plain rain to freezing rain that will freeze on the contact of untreated surfaces like trees, for example, and grass. Maybe by late morning, midday hours in some of those northern and western suburbs, especially the far northern and western suburbs, where they're certainly more susceptible to more of an ice buildup during the day on Friday. Later tomorrow, early tomorrow night, can be a brief period of some sleet, maybe even some snow, and then temperatures plunge tomorrow night. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorn.